Hello, hello, my great role-playing tribe. Welcome to another chapter of El Sótano del Brujo, or the Warlock's Basement in English. Today, I have finally managed to have enough time to do another chapter, okay, of my small show here in YouTube. And I don't know if you know, but as you grow older, you usually begin to understand how hard it is to find some free time to do the things that you like, okay? And well, today I finally managed, after quite a while, to gather enough time so that I can come here and talk to you about some things that a lot of people have been asking me recently about playing DCC, and also some of my personal insights and things that I believe are much better for the game. Okay, specifically, I'm going to talk today about some very small house rules that I have, especially when playing DCC. And well, this is it. Okay, so the first rule, the first house rule that I usually do, and I believe it's something that actually makes the game run smoother, runs faster, run faster. It's, there's a mechanic for DCC that every single time that somebody wants to make a skill check, okay, especially if it is an untrained check, they have to roll a d10, okay. And personally, during my games, especially because I don't know if you know about this, but usually when I play at public venues, and time is limited. Okay, so I have to stay on top of all things related to time management. And for me, the number one thing, especially when trying to do time management and trying to make all of my adventures run fast and smooth, and for that reason, no less fun than people that love doing adventures and funnels that last, I don't know, 6 hours, 7 hours. That's fine. But usually when you are very limited with time, you have to like cut some corners around here. And this does not diminish the game. Actually, it enhances it. And one of the rules that I found that, honestly, for me, it's actually quite good, is that when you have to run to ask for somebody to make an untrained skill check, do not ask them to roll a d10. Why? I'm going to explain that specifically why I decided to change that particular rule. I do not make them roll a d10. I make them roll a d20. And why? Usually, when you run zero level games, zero level funnels, and even first level adventures, it's going to be extremely rare for you to use d8s, d10s, d12s, perhaps for rolling them once for hit points for the fighter, and all the funky die, the sucky die, which is the d14, the d16. Well, the d16 is not. The d16 is a must, especially at level 1 for halflings. But you are usually going to have in your table a bunch of d4s, a bunch of d6s, an occasional d8, and a ton of d20s, especially for funnels. Okay, and when rolling for a skill check, it usually detracts. I have noticed during play, I'm a bit obsessive with time management. I have noticed that the less die that your players have to grab around the table, it's usually better for them to just stick to the die that they already have at hand, which is usually d4, d6s, and the d20s. And why is this? It helps mechanically, because the d20 is very hard to miss, especially if you are with newbies or with people that are completely new to the genre. Okay, and I'm going to tell you this. I usually tell of all my players when I begin my sessions with them. If you want to do anything at all, okay, just roll a d20, which is the big die, and that's it. Just roll it, and I will be the one that will tell you if it works or not. You want to do something completely out of, I don't know. I don't know. Just roll a d20 and I will tell you if it's going to succeed. And I'm going to make like a small emphasis here. You have to remember that the DC values, I know that a lot of people also play D&D and perhaps older versions of D&D. You have to remember that the DC, the difficulty checks in DCC are very low if you compare them to the DCC checks of other games. And that's why for me, asking people to roll a d20 for all kind of checks, okay, it's easier. And why? Because if you are going to try to explain to somebody what an untrained skill check and a trained skill check, or a check that is available to their class and profession from the start, because that was the class that they had, the profession that they had at level 0, and because they're an alchemist or they were an heralist, and then you begin to say, well, the checks related to your profession are going to be D20s, but untrained checks about stuff that you don't know are going to be D10s. You know, it might seem like not big of a deal, but sometimes for people, especially new people, it's easier to just tell them, just roll a D20. Okay? And for me, when I tell people, just roll a D20, if you want to do something, just roll a D20, and it has worked wonders for me. Especially because in this World Tour, with these 13 games that I ran for the World Tour, for the official World Tour, and the rest, and the games that I have run after that, it's much easier for people to grasp. And also, it makes DCC even more simpler, okay? So, what's the deal? You as a judge, every time somebody's going to do an untrained skill check, you know that they have to be rolling a D10. So what is going to happen when they roll a D20? Well, you are just going to halve the result in your mind. Okay, if they roll an 18, obviously they roll a 9. And remembering that the DCs already are very low in DCC, it's not big, it's not much of a complication for a judge to adjudicate at the moment. And also it opens the possibility for something that I believe, and this is another house rule, I believe makes skill checks, especially in trained ones and even trained ones, more appealing, and which is the ability to roll a natural 20. Okay, so what happens when somebody is doing an untrained skill check, completely untrained? Okay, let's say a grave digger. I have had quite a couple of those guys in my funnels. And they try to do something related to magical knowledge or things that are completely out of the purview of a grave digger, okay? They are going to roll, obviously, because I tell them, just roll a d20, okay? I'm going to halve the result, okay? I'm going to adjudicate at the moment if the roll is enough to do what they're trying to be able to succeed, whatever actions they're trying to do. But what happens if they roll a natural 20? What I'm going to do then is I'm going to say that it is a partial success. A natural 20 on an untrained skill check is a partial success. Why? It helps the game keep moving, especially because, like I was telling you before, you have to keep the game flowing. And for me, I think this is something that you have to apply to practically all role-playing games. I know that there are several other role-playing games that have like a ton of roles, several rule sets. They have like very specific things to do when players roll in a certain way, certain type of dice. For me, the way I play, I usually enjoy having the game flow. Fact is, if the game slows down, it is because of the players themselves, not me. Or trying to argue certain mechanics. And in DCC, which is practically what I love about the game, is that you can actually tinker with it a bit and suit it to your own tastes. So for me, having people just roll a single die for skills makes it much easier. If it is an untrained check, you are the only one that's going to know the difference. Perhaps you can explain to the players, it doesn't matter. But by having them roll a single die for it, it's going to speed up the game, believe it or not, it's going to do it. During my first World Tours, especially when I was with people completely new to the game. I began to tell them about the D10s, and I had to, like, okay, I had to show them, no, is this funny dice, this specially shaped dice, and then they usually mix them up with the D8s, and I began to realize that the less dice type on the table, especially for people that are completely new, the better, the better. Also, if when rolling skill checks, just referring to the D20 as the complete solution to everything, makes it run even better. So I explained it to them. Just you want to do something, just roll a D20 and tell me what are you trying to accomplish. You want to attack, roll a D20. You want to do a saving throw, just roll a D20. It's much easier to learn. It's extremely simple for them to grasp. Okay. And with time, if they are if they continue coming to your tables, you can explain to them perhaps some more complex rules. But usually when you start, it's better to keep it as simple as possible. And that for me is key for playing the game. I usually run some of my funnels in about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours tops, especially the official ones, okay, which are the ones that I have most experience with. And this simple change, I believe it's actually quite good, and it has given me a lot of opportunities to enhance and elaborate on the current action, especially when people is rolling and training skill check, they usually get a natural 20. And even if somebody has a skill that is related to the class and it is not an untrained but a completely trained skill check, and rolling a natural 20, it's also very good. In that case, it is a complete success, okay? And I usually add something extra to it. But this simple change does wonders, okay? And I want to share it with you. Perhaps you are going to enjoy it, perhaps not. I don't know, but I would like to share it with you, and I'm doing it right now. Also, on this whole topic of tips for running DCC, especially for people that are playing with other people that are completely new to the game, what also helps a ton? It's when you prepare, and not by reading the funnel or reading an adventure, that's important. When you prepare yourself by making characters already. Okay, I usually make a printout of all level 0 guys I'm going to be giving randomly to players. Okay, especially when you run a funnel, if you completely print and cut and make those small, have you seen the level 0 character sheets by Purple Sorcerer? They have like this amazing website that lets you make a PDF printout of all level 0 characters completely randomly generated with a several set of parameters that you can fill at your leisure. And this also helps a ton, especially because I usually tell people, come on, see here, I'm going to tell you how this works. Just grab about 4 or 5 of these characters, completely random. I grabbed like the little pack of level 0 guys, completely randomized, and I just shuffle them a bit, and I begin dealing them to people, and people, oh yeah, this is it, yeah, these are your characters, and I begin playing right now. It works for me, okay? Perhaps you might like to take things at a more slower pace, okay? That's okay too. But if you want speed and you want time management, making a complete printout of all level 0 characters that players are going to be using during a funnel, it really helps. It really helps a ton. I once tried to do it like, the classical, okay, begin rolling. Take these dice, roll this many dice, and people, they were like, okay, I do not understand. I don't know if you have that experience before with other new guys, but I practically play every single time that I go to the store. I play with completely new people, people that are completely new to the game. And the easier you make it for them, the better that you are going to grab their attention, the better the game is going to flow, okay? Because they already have everything. They just have to sit there and begin enjoying themselves. And they are usually going to ask questions, and that's amazing. Okay, what is this? And I'm like, no, what is that attribute? Luck. That's your luck attribute. And this is you. And you know what? You have to imagine that this guy, it has a profession, and it is a grave digger, he's a noble, he's a tax collector, it's an urchin, and it's like that. And then, oh, okay. And then they begin to imagine the characters that are completely randomly generated, and then they go with the flow. And for me, that's very important, especially because as a judge, I don't know what other people say about it, but for me, being a judge is to be a little, completely literal judge. I mean, it's like you have to completely organize everything. You have to dictate how everything's going to work, and you have to have a certain type of control over things, okay? Especially when people are completely fresh and completely green to this. And it also actually helps them. And you can see that they are going to let themselves go, which is, for me, I don't know, you have seen my other videos, but for me, when I see players at my table letting themselves go and begin to go deep into this particular adventure and narrative style, and they begin to be part of the whole, that's for me one of the points that I call magical, okay? And the less you make them think about rules, about what type of die, about things that mechanically you have to know, but if you make them simpler for them, you're going to grab their attention from the start. And this is like, for me, like a key aspect of playing, especially DCC, which you already know I completely love, and I find one of the few RPG systems that completely match my personal style of playing role-playing games. People might disagree with this, and that's okay, but for me, DCC is very strong in this, in that the judge has like a lot of power, and you have to direct it in a good way, to, especially because it helps captivating the minds of people that have absolutely no idea about role-playing games, okay? And to completely summarize, I have been talking to you about, this simple switch for using just a D20 for all skill checks. And if it is an untrained skill check, you are just going to halve the result, personally. It's honestly does not take too much of your time. And mechanically, it helps people flow. And the natural 20 on these two checks, if it is an untrained skill check, it's going to be a partial success, even if does not if it is not a complete success, there is something good out of it, okay? You have to figure out why and how. That's part of your role as a judge. And of course, can give examples if you want to, if you ask me. On trained skill checks, a natural 20 is a complete success, and it usually works much better than expected, okay? Also, on the part of the judge, to have pre-made characters, level 0 characters especially, and why not level 1 or 2 characters, or whatever level you want, you just give them to them right away. I know that a lot of people, especially those that have been playing for a long time, they usually do not like this approach. I have been talking with this with some people in the DCC RPG subreddit in Reddit, and some people like it, others do not mind at all. So this mostly works with people that are completely new to gaming, and even people that have played once or twice or not much in other systems, because you take a bit of control and then you give it back, because that's something very important. As a judge, I believe that you have to take absolute control, especially at the start, okay? When playing, you are going to roll all of the characters, you are going to give them like a premise to the adventure, and then you are going to narrate the adventure, especially if you are using an official funnel, okay? But then at that particular moment, you're going to let yourself go as well. And you have to give all of this power, all of this direction that you have been given, you are going to put them aside, and you are going to, at that moment, go level to level with your players. And the game is going to flow, okay? Because, and this is a personal anecdote, I have noticed that people that are completely new to the game usually have like the most amazing ideas about how to work out themselves out of a particular problem, Whereas with people that have a lot more time and experience in role-playing games, they usually tend to be like, they usually like to think more out of the box and in a mechanical way. And this is not bad. I'm not saying that it is bad, but I usually enjoy people that come with completely astounding ideas that, honestly, I have to say, okay, yes, that is going to work. That is going to work. And this comes for the fact, and this comes from the, how can I put it in English? This comes from like a deep-rooted feeling of I don't know, as a judge, you know, I usually enjoy more seeing people, especially new players to the game, come out with all of these wacky ideas on how to fix problems. And this is why I make all of these small house rules to simply facilitate them into their own creativity. I do not want to impose them right away, like, no, you have to do this particular die for everything, or this for that kind of action, you know. I usually try to keep it more free-flowing, completely rules light, and try to, the rules adjudication system, I usually try to keep it in my mind and just make everything go in relation to the scene. And I'm going to give you a particular example. You know, I have run Sailors of the Starless Sea, like, I don't know, like 12 times already. And the last time that I ran Sailors, it was completely a new experience for me, because it does not matter how many times I run the same adventure, which I already know, like by memorization, but since it has been with a completely different group of people, and usually completely new people to the game, not only to DCC, but to role-playing games, they usually take the most, I think this is part of the joy of being a judge for DCC, or a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, or you know, just the referee for a role-playing game, is seeing the hundred of myriad and strange ways people try to solve issues, okay? Because it is always going to give you a new perspective, even if the problem is completely the same. For example, my last Sailors run, I had a group that for some reason, for some particular mix of the players, they took like almost like a whole hour and a half, okay, just slowly and meticulously exploring the upper reaches of the keep, okay? In all of my previous Sailors run, people usually try to clear the courtyard of the keep, and then they just begin to delve down, and that's where they usually tend to become more cautious. But no, this particular group, for some reason, they completely fell in love with having to roll a d20 for doing skills, and they were beginning to roll a d20 for things that I was telling, no, don't roll for that, it's automatic. But they completely fell in love with this mechanic, and then they began to tell me like things that for me, honestly, I was learning from them, you know. And this is something I know that I usually talk a lot, and I deviate from the point. I know that I was talking about you know, a small house rules for how to play DCC, especially for newbies, but I have to talk about this. There was a guy in that particular run where people were falling in love with just rolling a d20 to try to see, you know, how well they were going to do in a certain situation, because for them, every single shadow, every single step was going to be their doom. I don't know why, but they took it like that, okay? And I was like, you know, there was a moment during the adventure that I had to literally put myself like this and just look at them and hear them about all of the things that they were discussing, you know? Things that honestly were completely out of reality within the situation of the keep, but it was entertaining. It was entertaining for them, okay? Because that's the whole piece of role playing, okay? It was entertaining for them, and for me, it was entertaining not perhaps in the way it was for them, but for seeing all of the things that they were making up. And there was a moment when they were trying to decide, you know, if you have played Sailors, if you haven't, please do. It's for me one of the best Goodman Games adventures for funnels for DCC. There's a moment where you are completely in front of the keep, just starting, okay, just after the vines, the horror vines, and you have to decide. Do you walk in through the front of the gate into the keep, or do you walk around through the side? And my particular group was so suspicious about shadows and was so suspicious about each other, and they were like in a total paranoid state of mind. Okay, in a paranoid state of mind, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening here? But they were enjoying it. Okay, it was not. I'm not saying this in a bad way. They were like, oh my god, who is this guy? And they were like two groups. It was like a guy and his girlfriend, and she had some of the most wacky ideas, and the good ones. And this guy that was completely like a bit apart from them, and he had like a group of dwarves. Due to the way I was rolling, he rolled like 3 dwarves. I don't know why, but he had 3 dwarves, and a regular guy. And there was this moment when they moved from the side, and then they decided to separate the group, and one of them died ambushed by the beastmen at the gate, and then they heard that the guy was being killed, and then they suddenly entered into a state of shock, and they suddenly stopped dead in their tracks, and they didn't know what to do. So they began to like, okay, the dwarf guy began to say, okay, let's form like a small shield wall. And he told me, dwarves they know how to fight in wars. And I said, yes, dwarves have a strong martial tradition. Okay, so I'm going to try to make like a small shield wall with these other guys, and I want to know if we can protect ourselves, because we know that a lot of beastmen are going to come right now towards us. And I say, well, yeah, why not? I suddenly made that in that moment that the guys that killed, that the beastmen that killed the single guy that entered through the entrance while they were going to this from the side, run a horn, so that about, I don't know, like 12 beastmen were going to encircle them, okay, and then I was reacting to their own expectations, and it was amazing because it was like I don't know, like an action movie for them. It was actually quite fun for me. I got most of my players usually are more like, oh my god, what is happening here? No, okay, let's go. But these guys, no, these guys were completely new, and it was completely new for me also. I actually enjoyed that session. I really enjoy the sessions where people begin to say things that are not really happening within the model, within the adventure. And they begin, like, I don't know, like to project their fears about the safety of their characters into the game, and I have to oblige. Honestly, I have to oblige. So within the adventure, within the funnel, there's not really what happened is something that is not within it, but I decided to modify it on the moment, because reacting to what they were thinking, my players were thinking was going to happen. And when it happened, the way they were thinking what's going to happen, it actually made the game much richer for them and for me. And then these guys say they were all level 0 characters, and they say, okay, we're going to surround ourselves here within the rocks, because also if you have run sailors before, you know that if you go to the side, there's like a about to tumble wall. A wall that is filled with rocks that if you move it in a certain way, it's going to tumble and bury people. But the dwarves try to make it tumble, and so that some of the rocks could work as cover. Okay, and then they try to like move around the sails to try to make a formation. I told them, you know what? I'm going to allow it. They are martial trained. The other guy not so much. Okay, just roll a d20 and let's say it's like some kind of a personality check, because you are giving orders, and see the other guys are going to want to do it, and they're going to believe it. Try to make yourself hear over the din of battle. And he rolled a good number. I don't remember. It was very good. And I said, yes, okay. All of you are going to have like a +1 to armor class, because you are completely prepared. Oh my god! And he was very happy. And I said, why I'm not going to let this happen? And that's also a new house rule for me. If somebody's within a combat is going to do, I don't know, terrain, is going to try to say that they know of tactics, and they make a logical story for why they're going to make this type of tactics, and I'm going to make it work for them. Okay, this is not in the rules, but usually it actually made the dwarf player extremely happy, and he began to have like, oh my god, I want to do this. Okay, and the other guy, oh yeah, yes, we like that idea. Let's try to roll into some kind of shield wall, and see if we can protect ourselves with the rocks. And one of the guys was like an alchemist, and he had oil. I think that part of the level 0 professional alchemist has some kind of oil, of lamp oil, and which is also quite flammable. And well, they did like a lot of things, and I had to react to them, but they lost. Not lost, of course, but they spent almost 2 hours in the top. Okay? And I was like, okay. And this happened because I tried to keep the roles as simple as possible. Okay? I tried to react to what they were doing within the frame of the adventure. They had a good time. Yeah, they enjoyed the session. I also enjoyed it a lot, and all of this is I wanted to share it with you, because usually when you do not adhere so completely, so rigidly to the rules, and you more or less as a judge just try to react and make things simpler for them, to the players, usually you are going to have like this two-way narrative. Okay, the players are trying to give you like some input, and within certain boundaries that you will get with time, or you will see how the adventure becomes like something that not only the players are playing, but you are also within it and also enjoying it. Because I know that some judges usually like to stay a bit away from the players. That's okay. It's not a critic. I'm not criticizing it, but I usually am the kind of guy that actually likes to like live the action movie, or the drama movie that people are making in their minds. Okay, and this for me makes the game flow. And okay, I'm going to try to keep a track here. I do this because this is why. I'm going to say it better. This is why I like to keep things extremely simple for the players, especially at level 0, and even with players that are level 1, level 2, and level 3, which has been the highest I have played with. And the easier that you make it for them, usually it's the easier that you make it for yourselves as well. And also, so that as to not lose my train of thought, certain tips that I want to give you, which has been this one, for the untrained skill checks, to keep using the same D20, just half the result, and to be prepared. So that you can make pre-made characters beforehand and to give them randomly to people. Also something that I see that not many people do, and I have seen it as a complaint in some of the forums, because you know that the core book is quite heavy, okay? And I love the fact that the whole game is in a single core book, but sometimes, okay, you as a judge, it really helps. It really helps, especially when you begin having clerics and wizards and elves that are level 1, level 2, level 3. It really helps if you have like a printout of spells. Oh my god, it really helps. It really helps a ton, because and you know that was the whole inspiration for me to create like these two manuals, which is this is completely full of cleric spells and this with wizard spells, and it really helps. I usually give my players, my wizard players, this one, and it's easier for them to just look at the results instead of me, moving around the table. Even the soft cover version is a bit heavy. Okay, so guys, if you Goodman are watching this, if you could print, make like just a spells only printout of your spells, that would be extremely good. Okay. Also a big hi to Brendan there at Goodman Games. He's been like he has been giving me. I've been talking with him lately, and wow, he's I really enjoy talking with him and sharing with him all of my world tours experiences. So big hi to you, and also a big hi to the guys at Goodman Games. Okay. So the tip that I'm trying to convey right now is that if you have printouts of the player spells, that is going to help a ton, man. It's really going to help. because I usually there's like this small I don't know if you know about this. This is a small booklet that you can get online, which is the DCC RPG reference sheets. Okay, this one helps, especially with the critical tables and stuff. But I have noticed that people tend to use more like spells. This helps a lot. But if you have printouts of spells beforehand, it's going to make the game run so smoothly. Of course, the in an ideal world, everybody should have their own copy of the core book. Okay, that should be like the ideal. But like I was telling you before, here in Latin America, so these books are very expensive. So as a judge, I'm the kind of guy that has to carry everything around. Okay, and so that's why this kind of play rates help me a lot. And I don't know why, but I don't know if I do not know why this will not help you, but I believe it will if you do the same. Having like a certain printouts for the most used spells by your characters. They're kind of easy to get. Also, this is also another shout out for the guys from Purple Sorcerer. They have like this amazing spellbook app that lets you do like a small PDF of whatever spells you want to have. Okay, so it's like a spellbook printer. Okay, and it really helps. That's how I made mine. Okay, you can see that they are actually quite good. I don't know if you can see it here, but all of these are printouts from the Purple Sorcerer's website, and wow, they really help a lot. They really help a lot. So as a judge, the more prepared that you are, the more play rates that you have, it's going to be much better. That does not mean that you cannot run the game without it, of course not. But like I was telling you at the beginning of the video, the more time management skills that you have, or things that help you with this, it's going to be much better for you as a judge, okay, to keep things flowing. And for me, like I told you before, like the less die that you have around the table, okay, much better. The less type of die, because usually when I run funnels, I usually make all of my level 0 players, if they have 5 characters, I make them roll 5 d20s at the same time. That also helps a ton. Okay, it really shows, because I had one game where one guy said that he didn't want to use my dice, he wanted to use his own dice, and I said, well, okay, man, sure. But it really slowed a bit, because he had like at the beginning, and he was like very nervous about his guys, so he really didn't lose many plays, so he had to roll a d20 for every guy, and it was time consuming. Okay, so if you make your players, especially if they have more than one character, which is typical in funnels and early level 1 adventures, it also makes the game more fun if you just roll all the d20s, okay, beforehand. And usually sometimes I usually make them roll the d20s and the damage already. Okay, I usually assign it, because you usually can assign a color, a d20 color, or just put it into order. It really is not a hindrance, but it really helps you in the end, having players roll the 4 d20s, and usually at level 0 they usually make like d4s or perhaps a d6 in damage. So they just grab like 4 d20s here and 4 d4s here. They roll it. That's it, and you will be seeing which works and which ones manage to hit and which ones miss, and it really helps. I know that this might seem like a bit like redundant, but believe it or not, it really actually saves a lot of time. And like I was saying before, because when I play, the store has like this policy that they are only open from this hour until this hour, so I have to make games last less than 4 hours. So for me, time management is a must, especially if you are doing like a demo mode or you want to show your game to other people. So these are more or less the things that I do usually on all my games. I use a lot of player aids, especially spell printouts. I try to keep the dice on the table to a specific set of particular dice, which are usually d4s, D6s, the occasional D8, and a D20. For funnels, that's all that you need. I usually buy them in bulk. You can buy them in bulk online. They're actually not very expensive. I don't know. I bought like over 130 dice of varied sizes, D20s, D6s, D4s, and I spent like what, $30. It is not very expensive when you buy dice in bulk, okay, and it really helps when you play. And you know, I'm telling you all of this is that so that you can, if you want to try running DCC, know what are the most important things to have usually, so that you do not get confused. Especially if you're a completely new judge, I usually see that a lot of people have a lot of questions, and I usually try to answer them. But I have seen that people usually, some of the most common complaints are usually, having just one core book and having to pass it around the table. So that's why I completely love this completely small DCC Player's Handbook. Have you seen? Do you have it here? No, I don't have it here right now. But it really helps. DCC Woodman Games. I'm going to put a link to the store directly down here. They have like a very rules light folio. It's like a very small core book. Okay, and it contains like the basic classes. It has some level 1 spells. It's very good for up to level 2, and it really helps also having that one. Okay, I'm going to put it down here in a link so that you can get it instead of the core book. But if you want it, but if you are going to go seriously into DCC, please buy the core book. They are amazing. I mean, look at this. They are so thick, and full of fun. So just do that, and well, I think that's enough for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Please give it a like, and if you have any kind of question, please ask me around. You can see from all my previous videos, every single person that writes to me, I will reply to them. I'm also usually pretty active on the DCC RPG subforum in Reddit, which is the r/r/DCC RPG. I'm usually there, and as Brujo Loco. So if you want to say hi, you just ask me questions, or just I usually try to share with people there a lot, because I love seeing new people. I love seeing new judges to the game, because usually the people that are more new to the game are usually the ones that for me have like these completely new ideas on how to play. And like I told you before, this is not a credit to people that are more veterans, okay, or grognards. But it's something that when people begin to think, since they do not know the system, they begin to come up with all of this. I don't know how to put it in English. It's something that in Spanish I would say like fumeras. It's like, extremely weird ideas, and some of them are actually quite fun and actually quite new. For example, just from a player, I decided that during extremely dramatic situations, if somebody can try, like, I don't know, like to do like a shield wall, or they try to get into a defensive position and they try to use terrain, I can grab them passing a DC 10 or DC 12, DC 15 check of personality. They can try to organize the horde of level 0 characters and have, I don't know, like +1 to armor class, expressing that the people are like being led by somebody that knows what they're doing, even if they really do not know what they're doing. But how it works, in fantasy. And I actually like that. So that's also like a new house rule. In extremely dramatic situations, everybody can do a personality check. And to try to organize the rabble into something a bit more organized, and it can work for, I don't know, 1d6 rounds, and you will get for 1d6 rounds an extra +1 to armor class. It's pretty simple. It came from a player. It actually worked quite well. Okay, and all he had to do was just roll a d20. Okay, it was an untrained check. I mean, he was like a dwarf, but he was like, I don't know, like a cook, and he had never. But okay, just roll a d20, and it worked. It actually worked. And well, but you can also argue that as a dwarf, they'll have like this martial structure. It doesn't matter. I just saw that he rolled a d20 and it was high enough for me, and it worked. And I gave them the +1 to armor class for some rounds. So these kind of things, I believe that actually enhance the game, especially when they come from the players. Okay. Especially new ones, because I don't know, some very savvy ones that actually have been playing for a long time will usually try to abuse this mechanic, And as a judge, you will have to step in and say, it's not going to work right now. So, but that's something that you will get with time. So again, I believe that's it. That's it. I'm talking too much right now. So thank you for watching me. Like I was telling you before, I love hearing from people. I'm like here for you, I'm here like I'm just one of you guys, part of this great big role-playing tribe that loves to play and that enjoys playing and that enjoys sharing this, because let's face it, you cannot talk with a lot of people. So why not between us? We understand. We can understand ourselves on the basic fact of the game. And well, that's it. Hope you have an amazing day, and remember, just click like, click subscribe, and write back to me. I love it. I love hearing from you all. Okay? Bye.